So Lauren Johnson is joining us outside of the courthouse in Norristown. Lauren?
Hey, good morning, guys. So also police who initially investigated these sexual assault claims also expected to take the stand today. Prosecutors, of course, hoping for a different outcome than that hung jury that they had last year. So lots of fireworks going off here inside the Montgomery County Courthouse on day 6 of the trial. Their key witness was back on the stand yesterday. Her story stayed the same. She told the jury she was at his home to talk work when he fed her 3 blue pills to relax her, but she became immobilized and passed out. When she woke up, she said the comedian was sexually assaulting her. So the defense team pressed her about their theory that she was simply setting him up for a big payday because she was cash-strapped, money-hungry, and a con artist. Cosby paid her $3.38 million in a civil settlement. Well, defense lawyers didn't speak much to why Cosby decided to pay her if he committed no wrongdoing, but they did ask Constan about continued contact with Cosby, including phone calls on Valentine's Day, just 1 month after the alleged incident.
Since Mr. Cosby was very interested in the basketball program, the fact that there might have been some calls to Mr. Cosby that day or from him to her asking about it would not be unusual and did not indicate that there was any kind of romantic relationship there.
And then Constan's mother, Gianna, took the stand after her daughter to tell the jury that Andrea was just not the same when she came back to Canada from the U.S. She admitted to calling Cosby herself about a year later to get answers about exactly what happened on that night and what medication he gave her daughter in the form of pills. Constan is one of about 50 women who've accused Cosby of assaults that date back decades. Last week, we heard from 5 other accusers that tell very similar stories. They were not allowed to testify in that first trial, Mike and Alex, but this time around, we heard their stories. Will that impact the jury differently?
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
By the way, if you have a question for Gloria Allred, who you just saw there, she's going to do an interview with us in about an hour and a half or so. Hit us up on Twitter and we can ask her that question. If you have any. Thank you very much.
Hey, Karen and Mike. So it seems like the prosecution is sort of preparing to rest its case. The psychiatrist, 5 accusers, the main accuser, and her mother. A lot going on here at the Montgomery County Courthouse. And yesterday, it was no different than any of the other days. Andrea and Gianna Constan behaved very differently, but both painted the picture of Andrea as a victim at the hands of Bill Cosby. She rejected the claims from the defense team that she cooked up the story to score a big payout, but her mother told the jury she did call the comedian, who apologized and explained his bad acts. Constan was mostly calm and collected, composed over the 7+ hours over 2 days of testimony. The defense drilled her about the $3.4 million civil settlement she and Cosby settled on, and his spokesperson talked outside the courthouse about that enormous amount.
He just wanted to get this out of the way. He wanted to move on with his life and his career. So he settled out of court, like a lot of celebrities do, and entertainers and athletes. They settle out of court to make things go away and move on with their lives. So $3,380,000 was a small amount for him to move forward in his life.
And Constan maintained her story that she was sexually assaulted at his home back in 2004 after he fed her 3 blue pills. She sort of blacked out, passed out, and woke up to Cosby sexually assaulting her. She didn't waver from that. But Cosby's lawyers continue to say she's a con artist who schemed him out of that money. She said she only took the money from him at that point in her life because she just wanted this all to be over. So a couple more people called to the stand for the prosecution, and then Mike and Karen, we expect them to rest their case.
Okay, well, those blue pills are going to be talked about for sure today. Thank you, Lauren.
That's right. And they were poring over phone records, you know, little by little, each one over 70 different calls, trying to prove a point to the jury. The defense was that someone who's a victim would not continue to call their attacker. This is all going to continue today once they talk to the initial investigators on this case. But then it was the question, was Andrea Constan offered medication or did Cosby force her to take it? The defense maintains their claim that Constan was a willing party who they suggest was having an affair with the high-profile comedian. And then her mother took the stand next to tell jurors that her daughter sort of became depressed and distraught when she returned to Canada following the alleged incident. She denied benefiting from any of the millions Andrea Constand and Bill Cosby settled on in a civil suit. Well, outside of court, away from the jury, Cosby's spokesperson called the accusations a well-planned money-making scheme based on a movie.
They did a Ocean's 11 style script where they were going to take a casino for $150 million, but the casino was Bill Cosby. And they decided to say, let's find a way to extort him. So they have given these women, these distractors, a script this year for this trial.
So he's speaking of the 5 women prosecutors called to the stand last week, including former model Janice Dickinson. All of the women told similar stories of Cosby feeding them pills until their memory became foggy, and then they awoke to some unwanted sexual advance. You'll have to remember the judge only allowed 5 women, but there are more than 50 accusers in this trial. Constant is the key witness, though, from which the charges in this case stem from. He could face 10 years on each count of the 3 aggravated indecent assault charges. And today, police who initially investigated those crimes will take the stand, and we'll also hear from a pharmacist who, Mike and Karen, might be able to shed some more light on what those blue pills were. We, of course, initially heard that Bill Cosby said it was Benadryl and then maybe later changed his story. So toxicology reports and a pharmacist will, of course, sort that out.
I will find that very interesting. Thank you, Lauren.
Hey, good morning, Karen and Thomas. So many corporate communications experts say they really are impressed by CEO Kevin Johnson and his reaction to all of this. He wasted very little time getting to Philadelphia to respond to the crisis that landed his popular chain in headlines and hot water. This is the video that quickly circulated on social media sites, causing uproar and outrage. In it, Philadelphia police arresting 2 black men after a white female store manager called them saying they wouldn't make a purchase or leave the store. The men were simply there waiting to meet a friend. Kevin Johnson called the arrest reprehensible and said the men didn't deserve this. So he met them face to face and apologized. The manager is no longer working at this location, and Johnson has taken a swift first step, demanding a day of mandatory diversity training at his 8,000 store locations.
Now, this is just one step in the journey, and it's an important one. And that is why we've reached out to thought leaders on this topic to help us craft the curriculum. Thought leaders from the NAACP, Attorney General Eric Holder, and many others.
So those training sessions will happen on May 29th in an effort to get a message out to all employees in the same way at one time. Last month, the coffee chain said it achieved 100% pay equity across gender and race for all of its U.S. employees. The company also says minorities make up 40% of its U.S. employees. So diversity and inclusion seem to be a priority at Starbucks, despite this isolated incident that caused quite a stir. But people this morning are saying hats off to Kevin Johnson for his response. Karen and Thomas.
Yeah, a lot of people saying taking a major step there. Lauren, thank you. 521.
Let's get to Center City with Lauren Johnson. Some of the changes that will be happening in the future. Lauren.
Hey there, Karen. So the arrest happened last Thursday. The men spent about 8 hours inside a jail cell. And then in the hours after that, uproar and outrage from the video that was shot right here inside this Center City store on a cell phone camera. That video went viral. The video led Starbucks CEO Kevin Johnson to fly to Philadelphia, denounce the incident, and then personally apologize to the 2 men seen in that video. He was welcomed to the city by protest, bullhorns, and people who packed the store, asking others to boycott the popular coffee chain. And then Johnson announced an internal closure of more than 8,000 stores on May 29th, so nearly 175,000 employees can receive racial bias education training.
It's an important step that reflects our mission and our core values. We work to be a different kind of company, a company that believes in using our scale for good, a company that believes that the pursuit of profit is not in conflict with doing social good. And we're doing this on a topic that I believe affects all of America.
So Johnson says he wants to learn from these mistakes and look forward at ways to understand and adapt best practices. So while Starbucks has seemingly made most people happy with their serious response to the situation, many people are still unhappy with Philadelphia police and those responding officers and how they did not de-escalate the situation, they say. Karen? Mike?
Gotcha. All right, Lauren, thank you.